5, 4, 3. Hi, everybody. Dugras here with Dugras Reports. Today is Tuesday, April the 29th, 2024, and I'm reporting live from the New York LaGuardia Airport Sapphire Lounge. So hopefully you can all hear me okay. I'm sweating, I'm rushing, I'm trying to figure out my technology. So if you can hear me, please make a comment to that effect. All I have is the built-in webcam on my MacBook and the built-in microphone. So hopefully those two things are sufficient. We got some club music going in the background, which I don't have any control over. So hopefully that's not too awfully distracting. So I'll give you a couple comments about why I'm here, but I also have to let you know I can't take too awfully long today because I didn't realize when I booked things that Delta flies into Terminal C and the Sapphire Lounge is in Terminal B. Therefore, unfortunately here at LaGuardia, the terminals aren't connected, so you have to actually leave security, take a bus, go through security, and then I'll have to do it all again. So it took me about 21 minutes to get from the other terminal over to the other time. So here I am. So if you're wondering why this live is happening, it's because I was traveling since Friday night. This is one of my RIP trips. This is the spring RIP trip where I came to Albany to see presidential graves and those kind of things. So that made me unavailable on Saturday. So here we are on a Tuesday. Let's catch up and see who is on board here. Mike Newland, Robert J, Seabass. People are wondering what's going on. I'm sorry I was a few minutes late. Let's see. Mike says this is going to be spicy. I don't know about spicy, but definitely interesting. Flying Ryan is here. David Viejo, Kirby G, and Revolving Battle Fox. Thanks for saying you can hear me. Kevin Hawthorne from Lakeland, Florida. So yeah, I might be a little off my normal routine. TM Cowling, Rem GB, and Gumbo. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Oh, hey, my hamburger came. Thank you. Appreciate that. It's a Dugras Eats segment, live and in. So we have a hamburger here, and I'm going to eat it, and we'll see how this goes. Hey, looky, Tom Graber gifted a Dugras Reports membership. How are the food options? Well, it's not very busy today, and I was rushing to get here and get logged in, so honestly, I didn't take a whole lot of time to check it out and see how the options were. Oh, I forgot. Celebrate. Thank you, Tom, for gifting a membership. I really appreciate it. So, yeah, I just kind of went with the first thing on the menu, which was a hamburger. So I'll cut this in half and eat while live streaming. This is probably going to be some excellent broadcasting. Yeah, live on a weekday, says Don Kim. Absolutely. And Chad says, that's the problem with credit card lounges. They aren't necessarily close to your gate like airline-owned lounges. That's a good point. But I'm too much of a free agent and a poor boy to have a Delta lounge membership. I did have one thing that qualifies kind of as a Dugras data point today, and I'll go ahead and start the process of sharing that here. Bear with me just a second while I get the technology all straightened out. Got to go to present, share screen. Yep, I know how to share screen. We're going to share the new tab. Drag something over here. All right, so there's something going on with the Altitude Reserve from U.S. Bank. So take a look at this picture and you'll see Dairy Queen. I made one purchase, $50.17, and I earned 2x, but I also earned 3x. So it's showing that I earned 5x, which of course I didn't really earn that. And then here's another example from Casey's where this time I earned 5x at Casey's, the 3 and the 2. And Stan the Credit Frog gave me permission to use one of his Uber trips. So this one, he's got a 2x and a 3x for a total of 5x. This one was 3x and 1x. So only 4 points, and this one was 5 points again. So it's sort of like the Altitude Reserve Casino, U.S. Bank, Altitude Reserve, U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve Casino. So kind of weird. Here's another example from Dollar General where I earned 4x. So I'm not sure exactly why. So that's what's going on. I don't know if there's something wrong. It's probably just a display issue. I doubt we're actually earning that many points. All right. First bite of hamburger. And I'll give you my opinion. Good flavor, good taste. It's a little cold. Tom says you should be celebrating your burgers and fries. Always get that one in a Sapphire Lounge. Absolutely. Chad mentioned the Coke cans. Ian's here. Yay. Celebrate the free points, effectively 7.5%. I doubt I'll get to keep them. My statement hasn't closed yet, so I haven't done the math to see if I'm actually earning those. Chad Pennycuff, who's also on board, said that he had something where he made a redemption, and U.S. Bank showed him that he made the redemption like 12 times. I also used real-time rewards, and it showed me that I had used it twice, but when I did the math, it only subtracted the points once. Chad says they're making up for their mishaps on 1x on everything a year or so ago. Chris Sevi says, my U.S. Bank app updated with a new style on iOS. I wonder if that's part of it. I doubt it, but you never know. So I should actually plug in my phone here so it gets a charge going. And I do also need to let you know, and maybe I should be thinking that I probably need to end this around 4 o'clock Central Time. It's not worth changing terminals, going through security twice just to go to a lounge, unless you have like 2.5 hours, which fortunately I do. Let me just take a quick look at my next flight here. It leaves at 5:05 local time. So yeah, that gives me a little over an hour to get there, get through security, get to my seat. Probably wouldn't take that long, but I'm a little paranoid. I also have this orange thing, whatever that is. I'm going to try a bite of that now. Some sort of dessert item. I think it's got cheesecake in the middle, maybe. Ooh, that's not my cup of tea. It's too orangey, whatever it is. I'm at LaGuardia. Thank you, Ian. Mike Newland says, was this the mobile wallet? Yes, all of the purchases were mobile wallet. Rodrigo says, all banks are becoming coupon books. What's our next move? I don't know. I'll save that for a time where I've got a little more time to think. All right. I'll go ahead and dive into the theme of the day, which is what I'm doing. So I flew from Des Moines to Albany, New York. This was a trip to check out some presidential graves and that kind of stuff. This is the first time that I have ever had an issue at security. I didn't really have an issue, but I think we must have had the world's most overzealous X-ray machine operator, because 4 out of the 6 people who went through TSA pre-check got pulled for bag screenings. And the non-TSA pre-check line was actually going faster. They must have had someone that just pushed everything through. So I did cover up most of the face of the guy. He's looking at my exercise wheel, which you'll see in a little bit. Apparently that was suspicious. The thing I used to stretch my back out. Not his fault, because he wasn't the one who pulled it for a random screening, at least not entirely his fault. Although when he tried to put it away, he made a mess of everything, and it's kind of embarrassing to have your luggage splayed open for everyone to look at, have to put things away, because I said, don't even bother. It looks like if you try, you'll break something. So Mike Newland said, I was told it was a known issue in all mobile wallet transactions. Okay, I figured it was probably a known issue. Fly and Ryan says, anyone hear the news on a Capital One lounge at JFK? I last heard it was mid-2025. I don't know, but I saw a Capital One landing advertised here at LaGuardia, not open yet. And Ian drops $1.99. Celebrate. Thank you, Ian. I do celebrate in public. Thank you. All right, time for another bite of burger here, and then I'll move on to more cheerful topics other than getting pulled for random security reviews. I passed. All right, this is kind of a weird picture. This is a picture of my own legs. On the flight from Des Moines to LaGuardia on the way here, it was a regional jet, like one of those CRJs. It's made in Brazil or Canada or something like that. I had kind of a tight layover, so I paid for an upgrade to Comfort Plus. It was on my wife's business platinum, so it qualifies as an airline incidental, one of the legitimate ones, almost $70. And not knowing what I'm doing, I picked the first row of Comfort Plus right behind business class or first class. So you know how on those little regional jets, sometimes business is 2 by 1 and then economy is 2 by 2. So once you get past business, there's kind of a jog in the aisle. I unwittingly chose that seat that lines up perfectly with the aisle, which had two problems. The first problem you can see in this picture, you can't spread your legs apart at all because it's too far to reach the seat in front of you and there's no bulkhead. So they give you one of those flip open tray tables, but to make the flip open tray table fit, they have to make it solid. So if you like to spread your legs at all, you just can't. So my legs were pinched and trapped together. And then on top of that, as you can see here, because it was perfectly in line with the aisle, every time somebody walked by, they were staring right at me, which was super awkward. And then here comes the beverage cart, and I'm like, this thing's going to ram into me. And sure enough, she did bump into my knee. And there was like this little thing hanging off the side with some napkins and snacks that hit right on my shoulder. It wasn't really hard, but it was just very annoying. So if you're ever in a regional jet, don't pick the first row of Comfort Plus seat B. You will regret it. Learn from me. Rodrigo says, what did you think of the new Saver X details from Doctor of Credit? I kind of half-heartedly listened to one of Matt Clausen's videos on it, and other than that, I don't really know. But my very brief listening was, it's not for me. I'd rather just have the free version. I may not read every comment out loud just because I'm trying to eat here. I'll just kind of scroll through them slowly. Luke's here, says, I've sat in that seat before. Did you regret it as much as I did? It's pretty awful. All right, so on to happier things. The first night I landed Friday night, I got a room at a Staybridge Suites by IHG, used a free night certificate. And you might be thinking, oh, Staybridge Suites with a free night certificate, that's not a great use of points. Well, that's true, or great use of an FNC, but these expire in May, and we're not doing any traveling between now and so it's either use it or lose it. So at least I got to use it. Got a free upgrade from a studio suite to a one-bedroom suite. At least that was something. They did recognize and thank me for my platinum status. They had an airport shuttle, which is handy. I forgot to mention the theme of the day today is going to be just handy dandy things that I like to either bring with me or obtain while traveling. Don't know if we'll get to all of it. So free airport shuttle at the Staybridge Suites, shuttled to my room. It was late at night. By the time I got to bed, it was midnight. Shuttled back to the airport on Saturday morning to pick up a rental car. So that's another tip. If you're flying in like late and you don't need your rental car till the next morning, just wait till pick it up till the next day. If your hotel has an airport shuttle, that helps out. Saves you like half a day of rental car expenses. And then I drove down to the Greene County Historical Museum which is Greene County is like where Catskill, New York is, south of Albany. I was doing some genealogical research, trying to find some of my ancestors. Whoa, zoomed in a little too much. I don't know if these people are ancestors or not, but their last name is the same as mine. I never found the for sure missing link, but I did find a few leads. Luke says, I didn't really mind that seat, but I'm really thin, so no one bumped into me. Okay. I need to thin down like you. And then after that genealogical research was done, I started my quest to see more presidential graves. I saw the grave of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And then let me see if I can find something to share with you here. Bear with me just a second, trying to queue up my QuickTime player here. There was an interesting thing that happened while viewing the grave here. I don't know if I can get this to work or not. All right, I don't know if this has audio, but hopefully you can hear it. Random thing that happened while viewing the grave. So yeah, that was weird. Sorry, I'm not presenting this in a very compelling manner, am I? Let me find my next screen here. There it is. So just by chance, fellow content creator Matt Clausen showed up at the grave of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So given that we were both out looking at presidential graves, we went to the FDR museum right there in Hyde Park, New York, and decided to get a meal together. This is an exhibit from inside the FDR museum. I thought this quote was kind of funny. After World War II officially started, he said, "Well, Bill, it has come at last. God help us all." Apparently, Bill was the person that called him and told him that war had broken out in Europe. There's FDR's house. Mojo has arrived. How you doing, Mojo? If you're not already subscribed to this channel, I appreciate if you take a moment to subscribe. Please click the thumbs up button. That'll drive this out to more people. Matt and I decided to go out to a restaurant. I got the chicken marsala at the restaurant, which is a twin chicken beast sauteed in savory marsala sauce. Here's a picture of that. Almost skipped an entire row there. All right, so that was Saturday. Saturday night, I checked into an Airbnb. It was called Guest Suite in Accra. Accra is the name of the town that it was in. And it was sort of like a tiny cabin, not literally a tiny cabin, but about that size. Definitely 0 bedrooms. It was just sort of one big room, but had everything I needed. And I was traveling by myself. Quality control man has arrived. Chicken beast sounds exotic. It was twin chicken beast. I think it was a misprint. I think it was supposed to be chicken breasts. So that's one picture. There was also this futon type thing, good for lounging. Had a small but full kitchen. Here's the view out the back of the Airbnb, looking over is that the Catskills or the Adirondacks? I get them mixed up. Whichever. Ian says, this is perfect listening to driving to FedEx. Thanks for going live. You're welcome. Because I'm trying to eat, it may not be the best audio in the world, but works out. Sunday morning, I woke up, watched church on my laptop while looking out the window, eating my Raisin Bran Crunch. here's the location where the Airbnb was. It was very close to the town of East Windham. I thought about doing some sort of joke that I'm staying at the Wyndham Resort in East Windham. I never took the time to get quite that corny, though. While I take a bite, guess where this picture is from? So I was at 10 presidents' graves going into this trip. FDR made 11. And then on Sunday, I saw the grave of this one right here. This is Martin Van Buren in Kinderhook, New York. I believe this is the least visited presidential grave. At least some random guy said that. Although oddly enough, I wasn't there all by myself. After I started, just shortly after, a family with a dad and 2 or 3 little kids came up. And there was some random guy with an iPad just leaning against a tree the entire time I was there. Here's a picture of my rental car. I wish it was a little nicer picture because there's this big old pothole right here, but maybe I'll use AI to take that out eventually. This was a Jeep Compass. I ended up renting from Dollar. I know I was debating that and getting opinions because they dropped the price about 5 days before I left. All the way down to $189. For all day Saturday, all day Sunday, all day Monday, and half a day Tuesday. So $189 for 3.5 days is not too shabby. It was almost brand new. I think it had about 2,400 miles on it. On the way back to my Airbnb on Sunday, I stopped at this waterfall. This is Catterskill Falls. I don't know how it's pronounced. I'm going to say Catterskill, may not be exactly right. It's, not too terribly far from the town of Catskill, so maybe they're pronounced the same. I'm not sure. It was very cold and kind of drizzly, rainy. Yes, QC Man pointed out rightly that the nickname for Martin Van Buren was Old Kinderhook, and his grave is in the town of Kinderhook, where he's from. Some people even think the phrase "okay," like "how you doing? I'm okay," has something to do with his nickname, Old Kinderhook. I don't know if that's true or not. Ian wants to know who takes the photos. I have a special tripod selfie stick thing that I can either use a timer or there's a remote control. So like in this picture, the remote control is in my pocket, so I'm just discreetly pushing it. I'll get to that later, time permitting. Thanks for the question. And then got back to the cabin, ate a supper, got back to the cabin just in time to catch the sunset. Really cool views. That was very beautiful. Here's what the Airbnb looked like from the outside. It was, I call semi-detached. On the right is a private residence. On the left is like a storage shed. And they do touch, but private, separate entrance. Hi, Dad on a Mission. How are you? We're reviewing my recent RIP trip. I'm at New York LaGuardia right now. Just got back from the area around Albany, New York. So, Saturday was number 11, Franklin Roosevelt. Sunday was number 12 for me, Martin Van Buren. Number 13, this is Chester A. Arthur. There's a cemetery right there in Albany called the Albany Rural Cemetery. This was really cool. The rain had stopped. It was very sunny and beautiful that day. I actually happened to run across some guy named Nathan who was giving me some advice about editing photos on my phone, and maybe that'll come up later. Just proving I was really there also. And then the latter part of Monday was touring the Capitol building of the state of New York, which is in Albany. There's the outside. There's part of the inside. Kind of feel like this is back when we gave a crap about how things looked. It was just super beautiful. I had more pictures, but I'm just out of time, so I'm having to cut to the chase a little bit here. There's this nearby tallish building they let you go up in that has an observation tower. So there's a picture of it from the top of the observation deck. One more bite here. I'll give you some pictures too. The tall building from whence I took the picture. And see that blue car at the bottom? That's the car I drove. We'll come back to that. Let's see. James V is here. I'm working on spending $40K with IHG. I want free breakfast. Awesome. Dad on a mission. Doing well. Thanks for coaching me up. Great. Rodrigo asks, how did you get an interest in presidential graves? I could not care less about presidents. I don't know. Just came to me. I like reading historical stuff. QC Man drops $1.99. Boom. And asks, are you in the Sapphire Lounge? Yes, I am. Celebrate. Thank you, QC Man. I can't get too animated because I'm in a public place. So in this picture here, you see I'm parked right here. And you see how like the curb behind me is yellow and the curb ahead of me is black, or not black, but plain. I actually got a parking ticket for parking there because they said I parked in a loading and unloading zone that was for buses only. I actually took a picture. So look where this sign is, and it's kind of hard to see, but I'll zoom in. Meter parking, 8 to 3, Monday through Friday. So if you're ahead of the sign, it's meter parking, which I went up to the meter and paid for. If you're behind it, it's the loading zone. So at most about 6 inches of my bumper overlaps with that sign. The guy in front of me wasn't pulled forward far enough I could quite make it. I'm like, nobody's going to give me a ticket for being 6 inches of overlap. Apparently they did. I got a $50 parking ticket. There was a spot on there where you can email them to dispute the parking ticket. So I emailed them a time-stamped photo of me parked in that position and said something like, as you can clearly see, I'm parked in front of the sign. We'll see how that goes. Dad in a Mission says, I have the same goal. I visit all 16 presidential libraries, and I love presidential history. Yeah, I just realized in the FDR one, I think FDR was the first president to establish an official presidential library. Even though Hoover was president before FDR, he died after FDR. So he established one too. So like Martin Van Buren doesn't have a presidential library. Dad in a Mission said, history's so broad, I think you have to pick small subsets of history. So yeah, I'm on a mission to visit all the presidential graves and also state capitol buildings. QC Man says, is the Sapphire food better this time than the last time you visited? Good memory. It is a little better. Last time it took forever. Also, it's less busy today. I like flying home on Tuesdays because it's almost always cheaper and less busy. One more bite and then I think I'll be done. I had a really big breakfast. Rodrigo asked who my favorite president of all time is. I'm not sure. I don't know. I like Thomas Jefferson quite a lot. I like James Madison, the founding documents and stuff. Grover Cleveland, kind of interesting. All right. So now a very brief topic of the day here because I've only got 14 minutes before I need to head out. Things that come in handy when I'm traveling. I'm going to cut this up, so let me do a different introduction here. And now I present things that come in handy when I'm traveling. These are things that I just like. It doesn't have anything to do with like points and miles per se, but on these little weekend getaway trips seem to be really helpful for me. Also, when I'm traveling with my family. Item number 1 is a sound machine. So you never know for sure when you're going to a hotel, what it's going to sound like. It might be noisy. The first night I stayed at the IHG Staybridge Suites, there was no option to switch the fan on the HVAC unit to a always on mode. It would click off and click back on about every half hour. That should be against the law. I think every hotel should have to have a continuous fan setting, but at least a sound machine helps drown that out. Some of these items are available on Amazon, and once I do cut this video up into something more dedicated, I'll put a link down below where you can find those things. Along those same lines, earplugs are pretty invaluable, so I would suggest getting some earplugs. They're cheap. You can bring them with you, that kind of stuff. I always bring an exercise wheel. This is because I have kind of a bad back, so it's the kind you lay on and roll back and forth that stretches out your back every morning. That makes me more comfortable during the day. Pausing for just a moment, David William likes Lincoln and Jackson. Lincoln's a good one too. QCMN says FDR, Lincoln, and Washington. It's hard to go wrong with Washington. And I can fit it in my carry-on bag. I don't do checked baggage. I'm team carry-on only. So the bag I have, it fits perfectly on the right side for, whoa, a pair of shoes, a nebulizer for my asthma, some nebulizer medicine, and then the wheel all on one side. Now, just to be truthful and prove that I really take more than that, that's what it looks like once I kind of add everything in there. And then somebody asked about this earlier. I think it was Ian. My Yukos phone tripod and selfie stick. It's only like $22. Comes with a little Bluetooth thing where you can push a button and your phone knows to take a picture. Works even with my old iPhone 8, which I will be upgrading eventually. So if you're a solo traveler especially and you need to take pictures, actually at the FDR monument, there was an older lady who said, oh, I can take that picture if you want. She saw me setting up the tripod. That already finished, nearly finished. I was like, no, that's fine. I have a setup specifically for one person. And I think she was almost upset. She's like, well, I just want to let you know I would have been willing to take it. Okay, thank you, man. Juan Garcia, good afternoon, Doug. Late but here. Thank you. I'm in the Sapphire Lounge at LaGuardia, and we're talking about things that are helpful on vacation. Almost every vacation I go to, there's a stop for some sort of supplies. And I find stores like Dollar General and Family Dollar make really good places to stop. Because, first of all, they're everywhere. And also because they're pretty cheap universally. So something I get on almost every journey is a big jug of water for two reasons. One is I have a CPAP machine for sleep apnea, and you're not supposed to put regular water in there. You're supposed to use distilled or purified water. So for that, also, when you go certain places, you never know how the water's going to taste. So like that Airbnb I stopped at, it was really nice, but the water was disgusting. So I'm glad I had my own water supply. And then mouthwash. I know some hotels give it out complimentary, but it's not always reliable. And one of the medicines I take is like a powder asthma medicine. I like to rinse my mouth out with mouthwash. Plus, you just have, a cleaner mouth. So it's only like $1.25 to get one of those mouthwashes. That's something I almost always get. And then laundry facilities come in absolutely clutch. So I'm kind of starting to develop a pattern where I do like motel, something with laundry, motel. If you can get something with laundry right in the middle, that's awesome. It's like this Airbnb I specifically sought out because it had a washer and dryer. I know it's only 4 days, 5 if you count Friday. But man, I got sweaty. Like when I was walking to FDR's grave, it started raining, and then it stopped raining when Matt and I met up. So, yeah. Have you ever, like, just after the rain is done, that coldness goes away and it becomes insanely humid? I have to change clothes sometimes once or twice a day. So, plus I don't love shoving dirty clothes into my laundry like the second, third, fourth day. So it's really nice to have laundry machines. Let's see. Ian says, what cell phone service do you have? Most services are offering free upgrades to iPhone 16 right now. I have Pure Talk, which is one of those like cheapo beepo ones. I don't think I get the free upgrade. Craig Howard Kirkland says, Iowa State fans are very nice in the NCAA tournament. Old Miss, go Rebs. Great, glad to hear it. Craig Howard Kirkland also says, I enjoy your content. Thank you, Craig. Thank you. Flying Ryan says, always water, LOL. And QC Man says, there's seemingly always a 10% back at Dollar General and Chase offers. That's true. So for this particular trip, I'm actually trying kind of a new thing. I'm trying to go with only 2 credit cards for my entire trip, at least cards that like I actually take out and use. I've got the Wells Fargo Autograph, and I can use that for dining, parking, anything that's like transity or travel-y, as well as gas. And then on my mobile wallet, of course, I have my Altitude Reserve, and almost everything is tap to pay nowadays. So those 2 in tandem cover pretty much everything I need to spend in person. I've had other trips in the past where I've tried to like maximize it, but then I have to go back and track my expenses by looking at like 9 different credit cards, and that just gets kind of old. I did use my Aeroplan card to eat in the hotel on the last night because I'm going to, pay myself back. And then the Lyft ride to the airport, I used my CSR, but I didn't like break those cards out. Those are just the cards that I had on file. And then last but not least, I'll mention this is a picture of the airport shuttle for the Staybridge Suites. So like I said, that first night, you can kind of save on rental car charges by taking a shuttle from the airport. Plus, if you've ever taken a late night flight, I often fly in on Friday nights. You'll know that late night flight, the rental car places get super busy. Going back the next morning, it's a lot less busy. So I think there's something clutch about airport shuttles. That's it. That's my list of things that come in clutch while traveling. I know I could be way more extensive than that, but like I said, this is sort of a miniature live. Click the thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. I'll catch up on comments and then call it good here. Chad Pennycuff says, hot, sweaty, change clothes multiple times. Welcome to WDW in Orlando, Walt Disney World. I imagine it's even worse. This is April in upstate New York. Doesn't matter where I am, though, I will sweat. David Viejo says, safe travels, my friends. Thank you. I will do a more formal breakdown video on all my spending and those kind of things. One thing I also discovered on my Altitude Reserve, so I booked through AutoSlash for my rental car, and because it was a hot deal, I had to pay ahead of time, like 5 days ahead of time. So it was exactly $198, and I did the real-time reward. So they didn't add the like $200 overage for just in case you break something charge. They did that on site. So I got real-time rewards for that. On Saturday, I got the text message for real-time rewards, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to use it or not because I also had some of my travel and dining credit. I didn't know if I wanted to use it or save it for later. On Monday, I did some calculations, said, yeah, I'm going to use it, and did the redeem option. It said, sorry, you took too long. So apparently with real-time rewards, there is a time frame. You can't just think about it for 2 days and then decide to text back redeem. I'll still use the points eventually, so it's not that big of a deal. But if you have the Altitude Reserve, just a fair warning on that. All right, well, I think we're going to wrap it up right there because it's almost 4 o'clock Eastern time. If you appreciate this, please subscribe. Please click the thumbs up button. And always, may your spending be frugal and may your points be plenteous. See you around.